What's up, everybody? I'm Mr. Second Passport. Today, I'm gonna share the conclusion of what happened to me when the IRS just came for me while I've been living here abroad now. Actually, a state IRS, right? The state of Montana IRS. Now, just a little background on me. I've never really worked in the U.S. I graduated college and I caught a plane to El Paso, walked across the border and to Juarez, caught a bus south, stayed in Mexico for a while, and then other different Latin countries. I spent quite a bit of time in Colombia, now Ecuador for quite a while, and a few other places too. Basically, I lived in Montana for 1 year, my senior year of college, before I left. So I just lived there for 1 year of my life because I grew up in Ohio, right? So basically, the state of Montana recently came at me with kind of some nasty calls and emails, and said, "Hey, you owe us." I think it was like $25,000 or $27,000 or something, and I didn't even know that I had to file with the state because, like I said, I haven't lived there for 15 years, and usually, so they say, right? So everyone thinks. Federal is based on citizenship, so I've been filing with the feds, and state taxes are based on residency, right? So they claim. But again, there can be exceptions to that, and that's not always the case, as I learned. So here are a few things that I learned what not to do next time, and maybe what you can maybe not do as well. This is a piece of an email I got from them, part that I can show anyway. And it's the auditor's exact words as to what they had on me, because obviously that was my question as well. How do you get to that figure that I owe you that? And considering I don't live in Montana or even the U.S., what do you got on me, right? Is the big question. And this is what they had on me according to the auditor. So basically, in 2018, I had a property sale in Montana, and they knew about that, right? And I didn't declare anything; they just knew. And it's true. I bought something in Montana, but then shortly after, I resold it, right? But because I just got cold feet about it, and it was not the best decision of mine when it comes to financial. And so I bought it and sold it, and I did sell it for a higher price because the market was starting to go crazy. But after paying all the transfer taxes and the realtor fees, I ended up breaking even on that. So obviously, what can I and anyone else watching this learn from that? Don't do taxable events, right? If you can help it, like I just did. That was a useless taxable event that I just created for myself, and because it was in their state, they knew about it and wanted taxes on it, right? So again, got to be careful about the taxable events. Just don't create them if you can. Now, in 2017, this was another mistake of mine. They said I owed X thousands of dollars because of based on a K1 return that they had got privy of because I started a Montana-based LLC that year that I never even used, never put any assets in it. I did declare in zero the couple years I had it, and I eventually just dissolved it because I never used it. But the big lesson here is if you're going to create any entity at all, a legal entity, at least, right, don't take this as legal advice, but just what I learned. I'm just sharing what I learned. You can take it or leave it. What I learned from this is if you're going to create a legal entity, create it in a state that has no state tax, right? Like a Wyoming or a Florida or one of those. Don't create it in a state that has a state tax liability like I did in Montana. In 2019, they said I had an Airbnb account. As you know, one of the 3 or so main ways, income streams that I have to support myself is by doing Airbnb properties. Now I have a couple in Ecuador at this time and a couple in the U.S. that I manage from a distance. And they're all kind of in one account, right? And that account has a Montana address on it. Now, why am I using Montana addresses for all these different things like PayPal, maybe an online brokerage account like an E-Trade or Ameritrade or something, or Airbnb or anything that might generate income for you online? The lesson here, like I learned as well, you should probably have all those different accounts online uh, through an address that does not generate a state level tax liability, right? It's just something you can avoid. Now, if you can, right? So again, this was my mistake. They had a couple years on me of this Airbnb account with the Montana address. And basically, they were asking me where the rentals were located. Because if they're in Montana, even though which one is actually, right, generating liability for me. So if one, even if you have a rental in their state, um, they'll know about it if Airbnb has that address, and Airbnb or whoever sends them a 1031 or a form automatically. Same with PayPal. Same with all these online brokerage accounts. They send the 1031s or whatever form directly to these different states and federal governments. So if you do have these online accounts, what I learned is make sure that you have that address in a state that has no state tax liability. You will still have to file with the feds if you want to stay on the up and up. With all these IRS agents I heard they're hiring, it sounds like audits are going to be a bigger deal now. So again, this is exactly what what they had on me, and I was able this round to beat them, you could say, and not I didn't have to pay it legally, all their tax liability, because what I did was I basically filed with them my federal tax return, right, and they were able to take that, right, and use that because as the state they do have to honor the federal tax return, and they took that and I was able to greatly lower, almost to zero, my income tax liability. And with the property sale I was able to send them the basically the the balance from the sale and the buy, showing how much I bought for and how much I sold with all the different costs of the sale, and I was able to show I didn't make any money, and they were able to wipe that one clean too. I'm sure there'll be a next battle with the IRS soon, who knows, but again, when you're living abroad for over 15 years, you don't think that these things can come and get you, but they can. Anyway, there you go. I'm Mr. Second Passport. If you like this, don't forget to subscribe and the like button below. Take care.